Ladies and gentlemen, it feels so good to be back. What's up? I know you missed me. I missed you too. Apologies for this video being late. I was trapped on an airplane flying from Germany. I've been trapped in the airports of Europe for the past 3 days, and that's why I have been, only putting out one video per day, and also why I was unable to put out a video on the regularly scheduled time because I was in an airport and I couldn't record in an airport because they're busy and loud and just not suitable for recording, even though I had all my equipment with me. Anyways, what are we talking about here? What are we here for? You guys probably already know what it is. It's Brother Voodoo. It's Dr. Voodoo. Which one is it, Cynicalex? We're going to talk about it, but I am very excited. I'm definitely tired, so I may not be seeming as enthusiastic as you guys want me to. I'm over the moon, boys! But believe me, it's deep inside. I'm just tired. I haven't even showered yet, so I stink. Yeah, I basically just got off the plane, rolled to my house, and set up the equipment and turned it on. So, let's check it out. The mantle of Sorcerer Supreme will be passed in the V550 update. I mean, this is probably not true because Doctor Strange is one of the best tier 3s in the game. But if it were true, that would be absolutely amazing. So I just want to say that. Best not to upset this doctor unless you're looking to be cursed. So we'll talk about the Loas and stuff, but they're talking about, of course, Brother Voodoo. And we have this little video here to go along with it. The video is actually very, very cool, so we'll check it out. We see the Loa, sort of the signs, the symbols. The candle goes out. We see the familiar skull, and then the candle goes... Wait, no, that's the beginning. Never mind. Anyways, it's so obvious when you look at this. This has to be Brother Voodoo. It can't be anything else. It's a bit dark, actually. Anyways, well, my camera's dark. It doesn't matter. And then if we go over to the Netmarble forum, which is a bit more interesting, it says, so CM Fragment is here, and it's, during our discussion, they talked about a need for new talent. So they asked Scarlet Witch and Rogue to make their own teams, and then they needed new talent. After giving it some thought, they gave the name of a character that they both not in agreement. I've been asking for Brother Voodoo for a long time, so I don't know if this is... Anyways, whatever. A new Sorcerer is coming. So yeah, we'll talk about the Sorcerer thing as well. He uses runes that I've seen somewhere. A new Sorcerer is coming to Marvel Future Fight soon. So the first thing that I want to say based on the sneak peeks... Okay, so we're obviously getting Brother Voodoo, and we'll talk about who Brother Voodoo is, who Dr. Voodoo is. For those of you wondering, also, that's the exact same person. Brother Voodoo, Dr. Voodoo, same thing. But he is, although compared a lot to Doctor Strange, he's not really like Doctor Strange at all. But he does become the Sorcerer Supreme in the comics because the Eye of Agamotto, which right now rests in Doctor Strange's amulet around his neck, like the necklace, it chooses like 30 or so people that could be possible holders of the Eye of Agamotto. It shows that vision of 30 some odd candidates to Doctor Strange. And then eventually, Dr. Voodoo, Brother Voodoo, becomes the one to wield the Eye of Agamotto and to become the Sorcerer Supreme. He gets the Cloak of Levitation that Doctor Strange is wearing right now. He gets a whole bunch of other doodads that basically make him, the one, okay? Like, not the Ancient One, but like Doctor Strange. So, with all of the comparisons to Doctor Strange, I'm pretty, I would guess, my guess would be, I'm pretty sure that he's going to be a Blast-type character. Now, I'm a little bit disappointed in that, because, he's just too similar to Doctor Strange. And unfortunately, in Marvel Future Fight, there's just not enough variation between the classes, between Blast, Speed, Combat, and Universal. So that is a tiny bit disappointing, but, he has basically all the same qualities as Doctor Strange. Like, he has mystic powers, he uses magic, he's human, but then he also controls these sort of, old arcane properties that allow him to do completely fantastical things. Now, the interesting thing, from a comic book point of view, the interesting thing about Scarlet Witch... and how she factors in. Now, they were part of the Uncanny team, and I showed you guys the comic before with Vision, Sabretooth, Quicksilver, Rogue, Scarlet Witch, and then Brother Voodoo in the background. But there's actually another comic book run where there was an inverted Scarlet Witch who was doing all this crazy stuff, and basically, like, I think she was switching people's bodies or something like that. She was inverting people. And so, as a last-ditch effort, Brother Voodoo, or Dr. Voodoo, was dead at this point. I don't know if it was after he sacrificed himself to kill Agamotto or to stop Agamotto, but anyways, Doctor Doom, who we have in Marvel Future Fight, creates sort of like a ritual to bring Brother Voodoo and his brother Daniel. We'll talk about that in a second. But anyways, he brings Brother Voodoo back to life in order to possess Scarlet Witch in order to stop the inversion and to basically stop her. So it's interesting. I don't know if they're gonna turn this. Like this Scarlet Witch uniform that they're gonna give her. Are they gonna turn her into a Blast villain? Are they gonna make Brother Voodoo shouldn't be a villain either? But it'll just be interesting to see what they do with that. I just want to throw that out there for you guys. It's just a bit of comic book knowledge. I really like Brother Voodoo's character. So let me just talk about it really briefly. So who is Brother Voodoo, Dr. Voodoo? He's Jericho Drumm. And his brother Daniel was studying to be sort of like a mystic or a shaman or some sort of like, you know, someone who uses that sort of powers. But then he got ill. He got sick. They didn't know why he got sick, but then he died. And just before he died, he gave Jericho this like mission to also study and learn the same things that his brother was learning. So Jericho does. Jericho being Brother Voodoo that we know from the sneak peeks in the comics and stuff. He picks it up really quickly. He has an affinity for it. He becomes really powerful, stronger than his brother in like record time. And then he uses I think he uses his teacher's help to bring his brother's spirit back. And so that's why when they talk about like Brother Voodoo, Dr. Voodoo, and they talk about like Jericho and Daniel's dead. It's just his spirit is around, but his spirit actually gets into a lot of like messy situations. His spirit's powerful as well because Jericho, Brother Voodoo, can use Daniel to possess other people like he possessed Scarlet Witch, and then he can control their actions. So it'd be really cool if Brother Voodoo, let's say in Marvel Future Fight, has mind control, because that's basically what he uses Daniel for. It'd be really cool if one of his skills you actually see Daniel fly out and hit the enemy. That would be so dope. But yeah, that's basically the aspect that involves both of the Drumm brothers, and why there's a Daniel and there's a Jericho. But Jericho is the one that physically exists. Daniel is the one that is like a spirit or a ghost or an apparition or whatever you want to call it. But that is basically how they figure in together. They've not always been, you know, together. They've been at odds with each other at times, so it's kind of interesting. I honestly do recommend that if you enjoy what I'm saying and if you're liking it, you should definitely go and read some of the comics that he's been in, because I really like the way that they tell the stories. And it's interesting because they're brothers, and it reminds you of some other things. I'm watching actually Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood right now, so it's kind of interesting. There's not quite parallels there, but yeah, between Alphonse and Edward. Yeah, the Elric brothers. Anyways, Daniel's not always the good guy, and so Jericho has sort of difficult decisions to make at times because Daniel will do selfish things or stupid things or bad things, and then he's basically like, he's not really gambling with his brother's life per se because his brother's already dead and he can't bring him back to life physically, but he still has to wrestle with whether he's gonna, like, you know, betray his brother's spirit or whatever that's there. But yeah, as far as the rest of his powers go, it's really up in the air to how Netmarble wants to interpret his abilities. You know, they interpreted Doctor Strange's abilities pretty logically, like time manipulation, time freezing, the time stone, but they're not really going to be able to do that with Brother Voodoo. Yeah, he's got the Eye of Agamotto, but they don't have any of that MCU world to pull in for him. They just have the comic book stuff, and he doesn't really rely on that. That's not really his shtick. The way that it is Doctor Strange's shtick. And again, it's not really Doctor Strange's shtick that much in the comics. He uses a lot more of a variety of spells and incantations and stuff in the comics versus in the MCU, where it's pretty, it's like a lot of portals and it's a lot of that kind of stuff with the apple and whatever. But yeah, it'll be really interesting to see what they do and how they interpret that sort of that side, the Haitian sort of side of things, because Brother Voodoo's Haitian, and he uses the Loa, and he uses these like they're like kind of like artifacts that have spirits, evil spirits sometimes in them, to varying degrees. So yeah, it'll be really interesting to see what they do. His skills should look amazing. They look super cool in Marvel Contest of Champions. So Marvel Future Fight is definitely on the hook for making Brother Voodoo look even cooler than he does in Contest of Champions. They have to at least beat their competitor in that category. So there's a lot of ideas running through my head. I don't really know what we're gonna see, but I'm very excited. I would also hope that because they're making a lot of references to Doctor Strange, that Brother Voodoo is going to be native tier 2. I don't know what that means for his cost. It might be interesting that we finally get another character like Adam Warlock. Now, I don't know if Adam Warlock's going to get reworked, but Adam Warlock, remember, not only is he's a native tier 2, he also costs crystals. Or they could do something like Silver Surfer, where he's a native tier 2 that you unlock by doing something. But it'll be interesting to see how exactly we get Brother Voodoo and what we have to do to get him, because I do expect, well, I don't expect, but I hope that his power level, if they're going to constantly compare him to Doctor Strange, and I'm not going to compare Brother Voodoo to Doctor Strange tier 3, that's not fair. I don't know if he's going to get tier 3 anyways, but I would compare him to Doctor Strange tier 2, who's still a native tier 2. So that is what I'm expecting for Brother Voodoo, but I don't want to get my hopes up too high because, you know, Wolverine, there's always the possibility of being disappointed. And I'm just happy that we're getting him, and I'm happy that people are going to be able to play with him and learn more about the character and see what he's like, and you know, if they like that, they can then check out the comics and stuff like that, which is always fun. As a final piece of information, I believe there's also the possibility, some people have been throwing this around on my Discord and on Reddit, that we could see the High Evolutionary, who's a very cool character thrown around as a villain a lot. Because he's had a few run-ins with Brother Voodoo. So it'll be interesting to see if any villains are added, or if existing characters are turned into villains, or if existing characters are turned into heroes. Because the Phoenix 5 update was all heroes turning into villains, which is an interesting twist, and I like that, Netmarble. Good job. But Brother Voodoo should be a hero, Quicksilver should be a hero no matter what, Vision should be a hero no matter what, Rogue is a hero no matter what, Arrow and Arrow and Swordmaster should also be heroes, so that's 6 heroes or hero uniforms. Scarlet Witch should be a hero as well, so that's 7. And then the last member there on the right was Sabretooth, and yeah, I think if they're going to give him a uniform, they should keep him as a villain, but it'll be interesting to see what they do. They might turn him into a hero or that kind of thing, anti-hero. They don't have that. But yeah, so it'll be interesting to see if this update and if these uniforms and these characters is going to be like pretty much the complete opposite. So we got 5 new villains, now we're going to get 8+ new heroes out of uniforms and new characters. So let me know how hype you guys are for Brother Voodoo. Hit me up in the comments down below. Energize me a little bit, because as you guys can see, I'm running on fumes here. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being part of the channel. Thank you for hitting me up on Twitter with your passionate cries for where is the video. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, and of course, if you like what you see, I hope to see you again soon in the flesh. Take care.